Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Humanity as Organism Thrives Convergence Room at Peace Week 2022. This is the last session we have in the Humanity as Organism Thrives Convergence Room. So I'm feeling a little, I don't even know what the word is, but it's been an amazing week. And perhaps a little sad just to close it off, but it's been great. So today, our seventh core need, as created by Sherry and Jan, Sherry Ostrov and Jan Golding, is manifesting potential. And so this reading is going to be based on the core need of manifesting potential. It's an Akashic Records reading that is for the collective, not for the individual. So it's for all of us here in this convergence room right now, and also for all of us in the greater world and in Peace Week, all of us who are giving and receiving the gifts of peace and bringing peace from our hearts to the world. So I will start. Just give me a minute. The records are now open. I'll just see what messages come. What's coming is that we often think of manifesting potential as in manifesting our own potential, bringing out the best that is within us. But manifesting potential is actually a collective inspired action. And action perhaps is not the right word. It's a collective inspired way of being in any moment. Because we're not just manifesting the best that's inside of us. Our inspired way of being is bringing what's inside of us, that best that's inside of us, our deepest truth from our hearts, bringing that into the collective and changing the energy or transforming the energy to a higher vibration. So potential is not about an individual. It's not about our individualness. It's what we're bringing to the collective and how the shift in us as collective takes place. Give me a minute. And through manifesting our potential, we're able to, it's our gift to the collective. Shifting the collective energy helps others or sort of is an action towards others, bringing their individual best to the collective energy and shifting the collective energy more. So it's almost like if you take the little facets of a disco ball light, and how every little facet adds to the light that is reflected all around. It's not just from one angle, it's from all angles. But that light wouldn't be what it is without the individual facets that contribute towards it. So knowing that we are contributing to the collective, and often in our human state, we talk about contributing our best and highest self. We talk about achieving or manifesting our potential. So just realizing that in this way of being, manifesting our potential, there isn't an individuality. There is in bringing our energy to it, but the manifesting of potential has ripples that will never not be there. And it's not me and the collective, it's us as a collective when we're talking about manifesting potential. Give me a second. And when we shift our own energy and contribute to the collective potential, we're not just contributing to human potential, we're carrying the potential of all beings in that energy where we shift, because all beings know to be their highest potential. Human beings, us as human beings, choose sometimes to function within our ego because our survival isn't dependent on living our potential. With other creatures, their survival is dependent on living out their potential, so they tend to do that. With us, even though our thriving is connected to living out our potential, our survival isn't. So we tend to choose to be in ego and not to. And we all do this now and then. This is not a judgment. It's spoken in an environment of love. But this is what we sometimes do. So when we choose to bring our potential, and we have just that deepest intention, with it, we carry the potential of all creatures, because we, as beings who have the capacity to control things, we have the potential to bring, or we have the choice rather, to bring these creatures' potential to the table in a way that we can help them, and they can continue contributing to the collective too. So that's the message about manifesting potential. And at this time, I'm just going to call on anyone who wants to ask a question. Remember, the question is not for an individual, it's for the collective. So any question that you do have, either type in the chat or just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. And I know thank you for reminding me, Shamima, there's a question from Kurt yesterday. The question was curious as to how we communicate with the others who are blind to creating a thriving life for all. And I promise to answer to ask this question in the records today. So let me do that first. Just give me a minute. The answer that I'm getting is that we communicate. So for those who are blind to creating a thriving life for all, we communicate with them by sharing our energy, by bringing our love, our light, our understanding, our compassion, and bringing that energy, not in an effort to change them, but just because. Just bringing that energy to the table with every being we communicate with. And when they are in a position to receive our energy, they'll be able to receive it. And even if they can't receive it on all levels, they will receive it on some level. There is some level of understanding or just feeling the energy that we come with. Let me see if there are any other messages on that. And also by living our own potential, because when we're living our potential, we are unknowingly communicating with those who are, as the question indicates, blind to creating a thriving life for all. And we just knowingly or unknowingly, whether we're consciously doing it or unconsciously doing it, we're just shifting that energy for all. Just as was said a little while ago, that it is not on us or our responsibility or even our calling to change anyone who is not wanting to create a thriving life for all. When we're on a high vibration, we're not even going to see that. That won't be our primary focus. And perhaps just seeing that there is an element of people who may be blind to it, just shows us we're not on the highest vibration that we can be. That we can shift to a higher vibration. So that for us is as much an indicator, just noticing it is as much an indicator for our own vibration. What vibration am I on? There are always going to be things that we see in the media, but it's amazing that when we're on a high vibration, we don't necessarily see those lower vibration things, or they don't affect us, or we don't hone in on them because we're so busy seeing what can be. We're so busy seeing our potential as a collective in this moment. So that would be the answer that I'm getting on that question. And if anyone wants to ask any other questions, again, for the collective, then please just type it into the chat or raise your hand. So I'm just going to give it a few seconds. And let's just have a few seconds of stillness with this really wonderful love and light that's all around us. Thank you, Cass.
Yes, I'm just inquiring on like moving the vibration, to a higher level of consciousness where I recognize not to judge. However, for us to be aware and witness that there are lower densities, and for us to really want to and hold the intention to all be one in a higher intensity.
Okay. Well, thank you for that question. Let me see what guidance comes. And the guidance that I'm getting is that that deepest part of ourselves, whether we call it source, truth within, God within, deepest truth, our heart, our center, whatever we call that, that part of us wants to be in that higher vibration all the time. And the reason we know that is that when we're not on a higher vibration, we don't feel good. And just a very obvious example is that when we're in a space where we're just feeling grumpy or, irritable with someone, or when we've had some type of conflict or disagreement, and by that, I mean where it just doesn't sit right, we want people to be like us, or we're not in our highest vibration, we just don't feel good inside. So that already is an indicator that the deepest part of us feels we're not aligned with that deepest part of us. So we feel a little bit misaligned. And the fact that we feel misaligned just tells us that we have a desire to be on that highest vibration, to have that intense energy of love and light and co-creation and oneness. Let me see if what other messages are connected there. And what's coming is some guidance that we could do. Interestingly, this is a reading for us as collective, but we are individual droplets making up the ocean. And as individual droplets, what we can do is, as we wake up in the morning, we can set the tone for the day, and in a little journal, just write 2 questions. How may I serve? And am I in gratitude? And however that comes out, we recognize when we're not in a space of how may I serve, because we really do not feel like serving, not ourselves, not the greater collective, we just don't feel like. And then the second question comes in, am I in gratitude? And the fact that we can recognize a no without feeling guilty or self-blaming or self-judging, and just recognize that it's a no, I'm not in gratitude, and then just move to a higher vibration by finding 1 to 5 things that we're in gratitude for, and not a list in our heads, because that's only a list, but the feeling that moves us, that's in our hearts, and moves us to that deepest truth, that higher vibration. So what you're in gratitude for may just be something as simple as as my heartbeat, my breath, the hug from my pet. You know, it doesn't even have to be anything anything more complex, like the feelings we have from the other beings, the other human beings in our lives. So what they're saying is that that's how we move to a higher vibration. And the recognition that we're not in a high vibration by the emotions that we feel, that just tells us that because we're recognizing we don't feel good, and the not feeling good says to us that you want this, you know, so you want to feel better. Does that answer your question, Cass? Okay. Let me just read what's in the chat.
I mean, just to respond back.
Sure.
I might be on a different like inquiry where how, you know, it seems like there's two areas. There's an area of those who sit in high vibration, you know, even monks, you know, all day. And then there are lower densities in the world. And it seemed like you were saying, and I agree, to not judge those lower densities. So, I mean, my work in the world is how do we, even ourselves, you know, uplift those lower densities. And it seemed like you were saying to just ignore them. Like, you know, if you're, you know, judging or seeing those lower densities, then you're not concentrating on the higher densities. And I'm saying, I don't want to ignore them. I want to witness them. I want to say, how do we support, offer love to them, and help healing in the world?
Okay, well, okay, let me be more, the message that I was getting was not to ignore them. It was that when we are on that higher vibration, firstly, while you were speaking, one of the messages I was getting is we are the lower densities and we are the higher densities, depending on whichever moment it is. But the message was not to ignore them. The message is that there are always going to be low densities. And when we look at things as individuals, they're going to be individuals who may be vibrating on low densities, and we are them and they are us. So this happens to all of us, but not to look, it's not about ignoring them. It's that when we are on a higher vibration, we're not looking with self-blame or other blame. We're just looking, and what our consciousness is honing in on is not going to be the lower densities. It's going to be the higher densities. So yeah, it's not really it's not a question of are we seeing it and concentrating on the higher vibration? It's a question of it's just not in our focus. It's there, but it's not in our focus when we're on a higher vibration. And sometimes it may be, and sometimes it won't. So yeah, that's the message I'm getting. Yes.
Thank you.
And now I'm just reading the chat here. I understand the shift in consciousness on this planet is pivotal, not just for Earth, but cosmically. Okay. Would the record share any information about the support we are being given from other realms and other higher consciousnesses to help us collectively fulfill our highest potential in this shift? And how can we consciously connect with and utilize the support? Great question, Dana. Let's get guidance on that. Just give me a minute. And about getting support from other realms, there has been, the other day I had done a reading and someone had asked a similar question, and we do have support from beings in other realms. So, you know, just to confirm that we do. And just give me a minute. And they're saying that we are in exactly the position that we are in a perfectly divinely timed position. It may not seem like that when we look individually, when we look at how things are, but we're in a perfect position to be with the shift, to be part of it, and even to offer this shift through what we bring to the table as individuals and as a collective of individuals. The reason we're in a perfect position is because we have had so much, you know, when you're in a position of darkness, and you've experienced light, you know what darkness is. When you're in darkness, you know what darkness is because you know what light is. And we have seen darkness. We have seen the contrast of what we don't want. And that makes us in a perfect position, especially they're saying in this past time, it has positioned us perfectly to know the light that we do want, and just the energy that we've put out from knowing what we do want is actually shifting our earth so much. Just that energy, just that deepest collective intention from all of us. And us collectively fulfilling our highest potential, we're doing that through our deepest intention and through our way of being. And sometimes when we feel our call to our deepest truth, even in events, they're saying such as Peace Week, where we feel a calling to listen to a certain session, to be part of it, to ask a question, to connect with people. And that calling is so strong, no matter how tired we are as individuals, no matter how we feel that we'd rather be doing something else, we just need to be there. So that being the case, we are putting our intentions and our inspired actions forth, which is going to shift not only humanity as a collective, but it's shifting, and the shift is in progress. It's shifting our earth, our planet, and our planet is okay. Earth is okay. And we are receiving a lot of support from beings in other realms. And to utilize the support, we just tap into that energy. It's all a matter of vibration. It comes back to that question of vibration. individual and collective vibration, where we just shift so that we're in alignment. And we know that that is the shift to be in alignment through the indication of how we feel, what our emotions are telling us. We use that as a guiding light. Interestingly, sometimes our emotions feel dark, but we use that as a guiding light to go into a higher vibration and to align in a way that we feel that inspired action coming. We feel that I want to do this. I feel a calling towards that. I have the deepest intention to birth this calling in my heart into the world. So it's a matter of just when we're in alignment, we are able to, without going any further with action, we're able to consciously connect with the support and even utilize it, because we then have the capacity to receive the messages. And by receive, it's not just to hear them, to receive them, absorb them, and be able to consciously shift with them. So Dana and Esther, okay, will their presence become more evident? Yes, a lot of people who feel connected, individuals, have been getting messages for our collective, and there have been phrases like the veil is thinning, and I, as an individual, I'm just called to tell you that I, as an individual, have felt that too. I don't necessarily use the phrase "the veil is thinning," but I do feel that we are in a position to feel that connection, to feel that presence, that divine presence, and we perceive it as, you know, as much as let me just go back there. We perceive the divine presence and the other beings as we are able to. And I think I might have explained this the other day, that there are some of us who have grown up with different religious beliefs or whatever, and supposing we believe in angels, we would be able to see divine presence as we perceive the presence of angels, you know, whatever we see as angels. But people who maybe didn't grow up in a traditional religious belief, or who believe totally differently, they will see it in a way that they perceive it. The language that I'm using right now, as I'm receiving messages from the Akashic Records, is the language that I use. I'm giving you the messages in a way that I can receive them and I can give them to you. So that's another thing. So we will feel the presence. We will feel the presence of the beings that we perceive by way of our beliefs. And it is becoming more evident. They're telling me it's very much like an eclipse. You know, when the eclipse happens, and if it's very visible on whatever part of the earth, whether it's a solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, and you know it is because you have physical evidence. It's very much like that. You can see the effect. You may not see the actual moon and the earth being in the same line, but you will see the effect. And that's what we're seeing right now. And the effect will be more and more manifest, because we're just raising our vibrations collectively. Hey. Thank you, Esther. Are there any other questions? You're welcome, Dana. Okay. If there are no other questions, I will close the records. I also want to say to all of you that if you'd like to contact me, Shamima, would you put my email in the chat? What I do want to do, you're welcome, Esther. What I do want to do is collective readings for anyone who wants to get on Zoom. If you would like to come to a reading like this, and it's just what I want to do, you won't have to register, you won't have to do anything, but if you'd like to join in for collective readings, just put your email in the chat, and as soon as I'm ready to do them, perhaps even next week, then I will let you know. So, and they're not, the collective readings are just something free that you can come to. Okay, John, yes, you have your hand up. Okay, I'll unmute you. I realize, yes.
I just unmuted myself. Thank you. I'm sort of a novice when it comes to the Akashic Records. And I wonder if you could explain a little bit about just what the Akashic Records are, and explain a little bit more about how we can use them and how you use them for making some progress in a better world for everyone.
Awesome, that's a great question. Let me close the records and I'll answer your question immediately after. The records are now closed. Okay, so Don, to answer your question, the Akashic Records are one's soul's journey, past, present, and future. Now, of course, in our human world, we have the constructs of time. So we have past, present, and future. So that's the way to explain it in human terms. In some religious traditions, they call the Akashic Records your book of life. So it is your soul's journey. And another way of explaining it is that we are all droplets in the ocean, and the ocean is composed of droplets. So if all our Akashic records, everything was the ocean, all our journeys, our collective journey is the ocean, and it includes everything, then we as individual droplets have individual records, individual souls' journeys. We contribute to the ocean, to the collective journey, and the ocean would not be the ocean without our individual droplets. So that's a simple way of explaining it. And how we use it is that a lot of clients come to me and they say that I feel that I'm, for instance, not progressing in my career, or I have a health challenge, or they ask about relationships or financial challenges or whatever. And just through getting guidance from their record keepers, their guides, their teachers, their loved ones on the other side, they're able to be empowered to make a decision in this life. So all it is empowerment through divine messages, and you being able to use those messages to say, okay, I get it, you know, and this is why I feel like this, and this is the decision that I'd like to make, or this is the choice. And you know, sometimes people just want peace. I've had a client who asked about her dad who had crossed over, and I didn't even know this client from anywhere. And once she got a message, and you know, they gave me a message about her dad, and it was so resonant with how she knew her dad, and she just had such peace. there was someone who actually, in my early days of doing Akashic Records readings, she asked about her cat who had crossed over. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder how this is going to go. I've never had someone ask a question about a pet before, but, you know, I trust in the divine messages. And I saw these images and I said, I don't know why I'm seeing this image of a purple knitted blanket. And she just burst into tears. And we were on Zoom, and right in the room next to her, she opened this chest, and she took out this purple blanket, and she said it was her cat's favorite blanket. And there was something else that also had to do with her cat. So a lot of times it's for peace. And I think maybe all the questions that people ask, putting it down to it, why do we want empowerment? We want empowerment for peace and alignment, and just being able to manifest what's in our hearts, being able to be our potential. So that's a great question. Does that answer it, Don?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seems to me that what we see in our body, our body is the most sophisticated evidence on earth of our source. And we have 50 trillion cells. We're very complex. And we understand that each organ in our body, when it contributes to the rest of the body, when each organ contributes to the greater whole, then we're in good health. We're happy. So we have an example of, we are the example of instead of animosity, reciprocity. You follow? Reciprocity, but our world is full of animosity today. And the question is, can we shift from a way of thinking that leads from animosity to reciprocity? So that's the question I think we need to answer today.
Well, firstly, what you said is brilliant. And, you know, in the space of divinity and just we're all co-creating, because even when I open it up to questions, which I was called to do during one of the readings this week, just in those questions comes so much wisdom, and just you talking about our cells and our organs and the co-creation there is just such a beautiful example. I think I'm going to use that analogy. So thank you for that, firstly. And I do think it does sum up us as humans, as individuals, and it ties into what Cass had asked, you know, moving into from animosity to reciprocity, as you said, Don. These are just, you know, when we have inner peace, then we have collective peace. When we all move towards inner peace, and the only way to move towards inner peace is shifting our vibrations. And it's through the simplest things. A lot of times we think it's just action, you know, what action should I take? But it's not always. Our energy is action. We can transform through our energy, just like you get heat energy, you get light energy, you get potential energy. So we keep shifting in different types of energy, and we keep shifting how intense that energy is and what vibration it's on. So that is probably our superpower. Dana, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I don't know if you have time to answer this, but I was curious how you started being able to read the Akashic Records. And I also wondered, when you say, like, they told me this, who is they? And are you conscious of particular beings or consciousnesses that you're communicating with? Are there specific ones that you know of, or like who's they?
That's a very good question. Okay, so your first question, to answer, okay, let me answer the they part. So when I say they, it's an inclusive term. It wasn't even a conscious choice. It just sort of comes, and it's inclusivity, because we all perceive divine beings, just like the message came a little while ago, that if you were perhaps raised or you believe in angels, that's how you'll perceive divinity. If you perceive if you've used the word God, and you connect that way, or you connect to any other heavenly beings, that's how you're connecting, that's how you're perceiving. It all refers to divinity. So when I say they, I'm wanting to be inclusive, because it doesn't matter how we label divinity. It doesn't matter what path we take to get to that divine space. We're all standing in that divine space. So for me, it's just my deepest intention is connecting with divinity, connecting with heavenly beings who guide us. And in this case, it was the collective. So it was the heavenly beings who guide us, our record keepers and guides, our teachers, our loved ones. Yes, that's the they. So that's the answer to the one part of your question.
So is it more general than, like, it's more, I mean, I understand, the use of they, but sometimes people are quite conscious of very specific beings that they're communicating with, or even like one particular collective that calls itself something, or is from a certain part of the universe or something. But then there could also be just more of a diffuse, like, intelligence that you're tagging into, and I'm getting, maybe it's more like the second.
Yes, I think, look, for me, I do just, I'm into, I connect generally. When I'm connecting for an individual, then I'm connecting for their loved ones, the heavenly beings who guide them, their record keepers and guides, their teachers. I'm connecting for them because they've asked me to, and I'm doing it in the divine space with them. For me, it's more of a general thing. There are times when I'll, for example, ask Archangel Gabriel, when something's come to me and it goes out of my mind, then I'll ask for it back, whatever came to me. And that's my particular way of connecting. Other people may ask, other beings, but ultimately it is all divinity. So yeah, that would be my answer. And then to answer your other question as to how I got started reading the Akashic Records, they called me in a sense of, I remember in 2013, I got connected, and the way I got connected was through the gift of a fibroadenoma in my breast, which is a benign growth. And the short version is, I had to ask myself, how does someone 4'11" get a growth the size of a lemon in her breast, and then have to, doesn't even consciously notice it, just saying that, oh, something looks a little strange here. Oh, well, whatever, it must be this or it must be that. And I had to ask myself, why was I not noticing that? And that led me to connect with divinity, change careers. And, I was tutoring school children. I'd been a teacher for years in different capacities. And at that time, it had been years. So I decided I wanted something else, and I started delving into all of this. And by that stage, I was connecting, with divinity in different ways. So here I am on the phone with the bank, and they're putting me on hold for an enormous amount of time. And I'm clearing my inbox at that stage. And I thought to myself, wow, what nonsense did I subscribe to? And as I thought, let me just see, and unsubscribed. And as I opened this email, the word Akashic Records had been coming up, you know, in Google searches, and or it just had been coming up in different ways. And I wasn't really interested in Googling more about it. So I opened this email to unsubscribe, and there's a woman answering questions about Akashic Records on the radio. It was that night. It was over Zoom or some platform, and it was at a time that was my human time here in South Africa. So I went on that call, and then I decided I wanted to take a course. Now, I always say all of us have the ability to connect. We just kind of lose it through indoctrination and the village that raises us through their best intentions, often educates it out of us. So I decided to take a course, started reading the Akashic Records, and eventually got certified, started reading them for other people. And now I read them all the time. I love it. This has now been many years ago, and I also teach others to read the Akashic Records if they want to take courses. So that's the answer to that question. They called me.
That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking. Tex, I see your question was answered by Shamima about the link to the recordings being on the Trello board. And thank you. Thank you for being here. And I just want to thank, yes, go ahead.
Haseena, you found it, like, I mean, you were interested in learning it, and then you found that you could take a course and actually learn it through that kind of a, like, instruction?
Yes.
How to read it? How to read the
Yes.
Akashic?
Yes. Yeah. I actually, and now when I do courses, I have done them with individuals, and you know, I do them with groups too, but I actually just teach that, and I feel that it's really not tailor-made, but we can read them you know, in the way that is best for us. So we're able to do that. So I just guide the individual to make it their own as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Okay. And look, if you want to talk more about it, I'm happy to get on a call, Dana. So just email me. So that's fine.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. That goes for anyone. If you want to get on a call, you're welcome. And this has been so amazing. I just want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank you for being in this last session of our Convergence Room, run by Dr. Tom Acklin and I. And we're really grateful to have all of you attend and contribute your energy and your words the whole week whenever you've attended. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate you all, and sending love and light to everyone, and such gratitude for Peace Week as a whole that's been organized by Ben Bowler, John Raymer, Becky Suzek, and so many people helping in the wings. I don't think I'd be able to mention them all, but the whole team. This has been such a collective, inspired action. So thank you to everyone.